Rolling.
How many of us would or are willing to give to our country service throughout a lifetime? Dwight D. Eisenhower did just that, serving in our military, rising to the rank of Supreme Allied Commander, and being elected as President. Hello, my name is John Avey, and today I will be paying tribute to Dwight D. Eisenhower. Mr. Eisenhower is worthy of tribute as he has had an illustrious career both in the military, as our 34th President, and for the steps he took toward moving this country forward in the Civil Rights era. The main points I would like to attempt to address today is a few accomplishments as Supreme Allied Commander, presidential achievements while in office, and main humanitarian achievements as I see them. Leadership in any role is hard, but leading men as a Supreme Allied Commander is definitely hard. Which brings me to my first point of the Supreme Allied Commander. Dwight D. Eisenhower was named Supreme Allied Commander in December 1943 of the Allied Expeditionary Force. His crowning achievement was Operation Overlord, leading to D-Day. His job not only entailed the logistics of invading U.S. troops, but also the British and French Free Forces and the landing of the resistance fighters behind the enemy lines. After hours of planning and bad weather caused a delay, D-Day arrived. 4,000 ships, 150,000 men, with 57,000 Americans included, headed for Normandy from England. The fighting was intense, and the enemy was dug in well. In their book, The United States, A Brief Narrative History, Huller and Nelson say that at several key moments, it appeared the invasion would fail completely. Eisenhower carried a note in his wallet to read to the press, if it did, prepared to take full responsibility. Even though the casualties were heavy, within 2 weeks, over 1 million men were ashore, and the battle was won through the leadership of General Eisenhower. Not only did Eisenhower serve militarily, he also served as President of the United States in 1952 through 1954. Which brings me to my second point of his presidential achievements. In September of 1950, the United States became involved in the Korean War just a few short years after World War II. During the election, Eisenhower had stated that he would go to Korea, but it was unclear what he would do once there. However, Eisenhower's election, along with the death of Stalin and a number of key military successes, helped to contribute to a quick truce between North and South Korea. Under the presidency of Eisenhower, the country went through a period of economic growth, and suburbanization was quickly becoming an important part of that growth. During this growth, the need for quicker transcontinental travel arises, and more people were living farther away from work. In 1956, President Eisenhower sponsored and signed the Federal Highway Act, which started the interstate highway system in America. An article on history.com says that the bill created a 41,000-mile national system of interstate and defense highway that would, according to Eisenhower, eliminate unsafe roads, inefficient routes, traffic jams, and all the other things that got in the way of speedy, safe transcontinental travel. At the same time, highway advocates argued in case of an atomic attack on our key cities, The road net would permit quick evacuation of target areas. For all these reasons, the 1956 law declared that the construction of an elaborate express system was essential to the national interest. During his presidency, not only did he have to deal with foreign policy, as with Korea, but also with the building domestic problems and policies of civil rights. Which brings me to my third point, humanitarian achievements. In 1957, President Eisenhower signed the Civil Rights Act of 1957. Since the time of the Reconstruction, this was the first civil rights bill. The bill aimed to ensure equal rights for African Americans to vote. Most of us have heard of the Brown versus Board of Education decision during that time. The Brown versus the Board of Education decision, which had to start in Topeka, Kansas, stated that the racial segregation in the public schools should be ended with all deliberate speed. Politicians in the South promised massive resistance to the federal order. To enforce the law in Little Rock, Arkansas, President Eisenhower sent federal troops to Central High School to allow 9 black children attend the school. In his book, Presidential Strategies and Civil Rights, Eisenhower, the early years, 1953 through 1954, Mark Stern says that he pleaded with his Southern friends and allies to accept the Brown decision of their constituents to accept gradual desegregation. As we have seen, the public career of Dwight D. Eisenhower was filled with some tremendous challenges. In summary, President Eisenhower had challenges throughout his whole public career, ranging from his time in the military to his time as president. His leadership of this country through wartime and through the civil rights era was instrumental in the forward progression of this country. The main points that I covered today was the accomplishments militarily during his presidential period and his humanitarian achievements. In conclusion, as we've seen through just a few points made here, Mr. Eisenhower is worthy of tribute as he had an illustrious career both in the military, as our 34th president, and for the steps he took toward moving this country forward in the civil rights era. There were many more accomplishments made by President Eisenhower, and I'd like to encourage you to grab a book and learn more about this amazing American. I thank you today for listening to the speech of President Eisenhower.